All right. Okay, so we are going to do a thing today. We're going to talk about four what we think are essential, like staples, things that you need to do every single week on the platform, just ways to kind of spark discussion within this group. What I want you to do right now is I want you to start getting your questions ready. We're going to try to have an extended Q&A time at the end of this. And so get your questions ready. Feel free to just kind of write them down. You can put them in the chat, but then also but you can also just write them down and later on we'll just start to field some questions. One thing that we really want to hit on before we get to those kind of four essential tools is a thing called Clips. How many of you guys have been on Clips this weekend and been like, what is happening? We have no, yeah, okay, got it. That's the deal. We are really excited about something and also really sorry for something. We're excited about the upgrade in Clips that you just got and really sorry for how that got rolled out. That was a bit of a miscommunication between the team that we work with over at Opus and us to get that going. And we were as surprised as you were in some of the things that happened. So we were like, wow, okay. Um, let's roll with this. So we love the fact that you guys are on our team because as you come through this and you see something like that, a lot of people just wrote in and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And we were happy to work through it, and you guys were patient, and it was really helpful. So what I decided to do first is I asked Sarah, Sarah, would you go ahead and do for us like a demo of just what happened, what's new? This is a huge, huge clip upgrade. It just might not feel that way if you were like, I don't know how to do this. So Sarah's going to help you walk through that right now. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Don. Yep. So the new editor, if you edit your clips, so maybe you just like what is produced and you just go ahead and download it and it doesn't apply to you. But if it does and you have someone on your team, maybe even that does the editing for you, maybe we can share this video out at the end. We usually do on our Insiders Facebook group, and you can share this portion, or I will share an overview that's a little slower. You can take a look at that after this time together. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have already walked through one of the steps that you will take in order to open it up so that you can edit clips, and that is to create a free account on Opus Clips. So essentially what that does is it allows you to be able to edit your clips on Opus. One of the exciting things, just as someone who has sat on the other side of you guys and all the things that you ask for and want, it's really exciting to be able to show you all the things that you'll be able to do now that we have this partnership. So to edit your clips, you would go to the clips section here. It'll open up this page, which we're on, and then you'll want to click on Open in Opus Clip, which is a mouthful and a bit of a tongue twister, if I do say so
Hey,
myself
hey, Sarah,
after
can I
having,
can I interrupt
yeah,
you for just a
sure
second?
thing. Yep, go for it.
Um, before we jump in there, I just want to make sure to let everybody know this is not a price increase. You're getting a whole host of new features for free. Like there's no we're not upgrading you on the price. If you click on something inside of Opus that says, "Oh, you need to upgrade,"
Yep.
just know that we haven't fully integrated that piece into the platform, like into our partnership yet, but that is something that's coming. There may be a couple things that end up not being included in our base rate price, but even with just the editor alone, you are getting a massive, massive upgrade. So we've had several people that have said, "Hey, like, is this some ploy to make more money?" That is not what this is. We're sorry that it may look like that a little bit, but please know we're not trying to do that in any way, shape, or form. We are simply trying to give you all the best, most powerful features we possibly can, all in one cohesive system. So anyhow, sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, Sarah, I'm going to give it back to you in just a second. But Dave, just to answer your question, what is Opus Clip? Opus is kind of they're like the industry standard in this whole world, and it's kind of a cool story because they weren't made for church stuff at all. They actually are used by the NFL, the Olympics, NBA. Like that's what this was for a long period of time. And when we started off doing this, our CTO found a way to kind of integrate us into that, and they started going, "Who is this? Who's this company that's doing this?" And we got a chance to explain to them our vision and mission. And they kind of fell in love with the idea of what we were doing and basically gave us kind of the keys and said, all right, here you go. Now, because they let us do some work on there, that doesn't necessarily mean that some of the communication has always been flawless. And so what you've experienced this week is a major upgrade on their end that we didn't know how to roll out because we didn't know it was coming when it was coming. And that's where some of this has come up. But the product that you're utilizing is really known as like it's the product. It's the one that everybody's going, man, this is here and everything else is below it. So super excited to have them give us the keys to this and say, go for it. Sarah, show us what to do. You're muted.
You're muted.
I appreciate that. So this is assuming after you've connected, you've started that Opus Clip account, you've come back to church.tech, and you have clicked on open an Opus Clip. Like I said, it's a little bit of tongue twister. I want to point out just a couple of quick things. Everything you see in Opus is exactly how you see it in church.tech. So if you're at the top, you'll see the top one is also the same one here. So that's really great. You can also like the clip. I know a lot of teams work together on these, and maybe somebody comes in and they watch them and say, hey, these are great. Will you edit these? So now you have that ability to like the clip, which I love. You will click on, I will let you know, you will click on maybe a few things that are not available yet, but I want to go ahead and show you how to edit your clip. So if you click here on this middle button, it actually looks like a pair of scissors. You'll click there and open it up, and I'm going to show you just a couple of quick things that are new. So it looks like I was already editing in here, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You'll notice it's very similar to how Church.tech in terms of the transcript on the left-hand side. You can do a lot of the same things like, okay, I want to start my clip here. If you're used to that, you can set this as your start. Click that, and that'll be your starting place for this particular clip. What is new that I love is this undo button up here at the top. So let's say you make a change and you're like, oops, I don't know if I want that. You can hit the undo button and it brings you right back to where you were. So that's really awesome. Another thing that I think a lot of people are going to love because they have asked a ton for this is the ability to see, like, if you were preaching and you're like, gosh, I want to get the rest of the story. It didn't really capture the story as much as I had wanted, or there was a point I made right before this that the AI didn't seem to get. So you can actually add a section. And what that will do is it will open up the transcript. And then another cool thing is it gives you the timestamps. A lot of people have asked for that as well. All you'll need to do is actually just select what you wanted to include and then hit the add button. And now that adds the piece of the video that was missing like right before that. So that's just a really neat feature, as well as at the end, you can really add it in wherever you see that add a section. If you want to make your own section, there is a way to split this that wasn't actually possible before. So you can actually split the section, and then that'll allow you to add another section in. So really cool. One of the other things I will note is some of the things you're really used to before, which was being able to highlight a word or being able to edit it and change it. A really cool thing that they have done here is you can actually correct all of them at the same time. So if you wanted to respell something like it got it wrong, you can change that and hit correct all, and it will change all the words in this particular video for the captions. So, so there's some really cool things you can check out there. One thing I will note while we're on the left-hand side of the screen is you can actually add in some transitions. So let's say you just kind of, I'm clicking on this and I'm actually dragging it down, and I can make it longer, I can make it shorter, I can move it around with my mouse. And it just makes this a little bit maybe smoother. Oops, let me play it for you so you can sort of see.
Larger and larger crowd was a multi-ethnic church.
So there's some just really cool things you can do at the crossfade and different.
That's my favorite part.
It's gonna fade it in and fade it right back up.
Looking for their eventual
yeah. So it's just some really cool things. For some reason it wasn't working. Maybe I made it too long, but you can play around. That's the great thing about being in here, is that you can do a whole lot more than you were able to before. All right, I'm going to go over, for the sake of time, over here to the right-hand side and just walk through just a few quick things that are new. You can do a clip layout setting. So before you could do fit or fill. If you want to change the entire clip, the entire project to fill, you just click fill and all of the scenes in this whole clip are now changed to fill. If you want to change it back to fit, just select fit or fill off the screen. You can even change scene by scene. You can change it to fill or fit depending on what you want. So it could go from fit to fill back to fit. If that's something, seems like it would be a little hard on the eyes, but I do want to let you know that that is possible. Last thing I'll say
That's
really
that's
quick.
good, Sarah. Would
Yeah.
highlighting that we've had some people come in and they realize that we're right on the image it says layout fill, right? So they assume that that's where they click to change it, and that's going to change it section by section. If you go to the right side, that changes the entire project.
Yep, fill or fit. Yeah. So yeah, it's just letting me know the whole project got changed. So, yep, great call. On captions, some really cool new things. You can change where it shows up on the screen. Before, you were not able to do that. You can do top, middle, bottom. You can even use your cursor to put it exactly where you want and make it smaller or make it bigger. Just by moving your cursor around the screen, you can make sure it's centered with that blue line. So that's great. You can add animation. So this will bounce, underline, pop. There's some really fun features there. There's a whole lot more fonts. So that's really exciting, especially if you have a particular font that you use with your brand guide. You can make it bigger, smaller, which is great. Before you really couldn't edit the size of that, but now you can by just putting in a different number. You can also do uppercase, lowercase. So you can see this is lowercase that I had here on the screen, or uppercase, come back to that, and also change all the colors. So that's exciting to me, at least, and adding in more than one caption line. A lot of people have asked for that. So you can now add 3. Oh, I think that's about it in terms of just one last thing. You can add emojis in if your particular clip lends itself to emojis. You can click that on and it'll allow you to do that, as well as bring in a logo onto the screen. So the static overlay logo CTA, you can actually choose a file from your computer. I won't do it, but you can pull it onto the screen, put it where you want
And
it.
size it and put it where you want. Yeah. So that's, let's say if you're doing something for your church, which typically if you're going to put this out on social, it's going to have your logo right above it if you're doing anything like that. But if you wanted to utilize it in different ways, you can put your church's logo up there. You can put different things up there, like an image that you'd want to keep there. So just another piece that way.
Awesome. Hit save changes. It'll go ahead and start saving those changes. I'm going to go to that step, Don, so you can kind of take it from here. It will give you an estimation on how long those changes will take to render. As soon as it's complete, you'll see if it'll be ready to download here, or within just a few minutes after this is finished, it will reflect back into church.tech, so you could download it from there and keep moving about your day. So hope that helps. I'm excited. If there are questions you have, let us know. We're putting together as many videos as we can possibly do. I will say as well, feel free to schedule. I'll put a link in our Facebook group, but feel free to schedule a time if you would like a one-on-one walkthrough. We're happy to do that. So, all right, back to you, Don.
Okay, 2 things really quickly, Sarah. When you all get on the platform and you see that green bubble in the bottom right hand corner, at very first you get a bot that we've created that knows kind of all of our stuff, maybe even better than we do. After that, if you're like, no, I really want to talk to a person, you're talking to Sarah's team that she leads, and that's one of the many hats that she wears. But she makes sure that that team knows what they're doing and knows how to answer questions, and so that's a real person. It's worth you knowing that. We're really glad that I say this to her all the time. I'm really glad she's the one who's doing that because she's incredibly nice. And so I would be like, I don't know how to answer that question, but she's great. So yeah, just want you to know that that's a real person and Sarah leads that. Thank you very, very much. Sarah, the one thing that is kind of cumbersome though is that whole I've got to add an Opus account. That can feel like, but I have an account. I have a church.tech account. Why do I need to have a second account? Can you just walk through that a little bit just so they understand that?
Sure thing. Yep, I'll share my screen one more time and help walk through what that looks like. If you go to opus dot, sorry, I'll actually start from the top, opus.pro. It will bring you to this homepage. You'll just click the sign in button, and then it'll ask you to finish signing up to get your free clips. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with one of my Google accounts that I started yesterday. It's pretty straightforward. Once you're in, and you can get started. Perfect. And then what you'll want to do is just to come back to church.tech, click that. There'll be a little modal that'll ask you if you've created that account. You'll just click yes, I've created it. And then you can open up your clip project right inside of Opus. So it's
So
just
does it
simple as
need to
that.
be the same login that you have for both? It doesn't need to be the same login, anything
Not
like
need to be
that?
the same. Nope, it does not need
Okay.
to be the same. Could I mention one thing really quick that I forgot,
Sure. Yeah.
John?
Yep.
And it is something that isn't as intuitive until you do it. But if you double click on this, it actually gives you the ability to crop your frame. So a lot of
Mm.
people will say, oh, it didn't get it in the center. I really wanted it to be in the center. You can actually crop it with this tool. So that's just me double clicking the screen. And then it gives me that option to crop. I forgot to mention that before.
It
So
does do AI, like use AI to face track, but
it
sometimes
does.
you've got a little bit of work you've got to do to get that
Yep,
right where it needs to be.
exactly. Yep. So
Okay. I'm sure a bunch of you have questions about that. I want you to start writing them down and hold on to them. You can put them in the chat, or you can just save them until later. Like I said, if we go, I'm going to try to go quickly through this next section. We want to leave room for lots of questions because we knew this was a major change this week, and we were like, okay, certainly you've got questions about this. So no problem. We're here for that. Want to make sure we answer all those questions as best as possible. But we also want to talk a little bit about, like, we're going to start breaking out like essential tools, things that Josh and I and Sarah, we've talked about and said, you know what, this is what people need. We know you need this. And what we realize sometimes with Church.tech is maybe you got attracted to the platform because you saw a Clips ad or something like that, and you don't necessarily even realize the things that you can do, let alone know what to ask to do. And so we thought, you know what, let's do a series of just 4 essential tools every session for a little while, just saying you need these are really, really important, and this is really, really big. And so Josh, the first thing we're going to talk a little bit about is church.tech is not meant to be used just by you. It's meant to be used by your whole team. And there's ways to do that. I actually had somebody recently text me and say, hey, I'm having a really hard time because I feel like every time somebody wants to log in, it has to email me a code, and then I have to tell them what the code is. And I was like, no, 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 no. You're not supposed to use the same login for everybody. Everybody can have their own login. That's the way it's designed. Okay. So Josh, would you show everybody just how to add as many people as they want to add? And this will be a fast one, but it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I would just encourage you while we're walking through this, if you haven't added staff, if you have staff team, I would just go ahead and do this like alongside of me right now. It's really easy. It's going to send them an email. All they have to do is click on a verification link and they'll be added to your account. And now you can get them jumping in and doing things for you. Same thing with volunteers. Like if you don't have a communications person, find a volunteer to jump into that spot. And in fact, one of the things that we're going to be working on this week is a ministry tool that writes job descriptions for church staffing positions and volunteer positions. And so that's going to be a great way for you to be able to be like, oh, I don't have a comms person. I can create a job description for them, even if they're a volunteer, and get them jumping into the platform. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. And all right, can y'all see my screen? Okay, sweet, awesome. Sorry, I upgraded my operating system last night and just did something really weird. So thanks for bearing with me. Okay, so to add a new person to your account, um, you know, jumping in, you're going to land on the sermon upload page. Come over here to settings, click on the settings button, then go up to organization, click on the organization tab, and go to members. You can see we're not lying. You truly can have an unlimited number of people on the platform, right?
That's right.
So this is our demo account. We've got a lot of people in here. To add more people, you simply click invite members. You're going to put their email in here. and then you can add as many people as you want uh, in one go, right? I would recommend if they're going to be uploading content or generating content that you set them to admin. When V2 comes out, we'll have multiple different membership types, and you'll be able to permission people specifically with all kinds of different capabilities within the platform. But for now, we have three types of members. There's an owner account, which isn't even one you can select on that. That's just the person that signed up and put their credit card in. So that's basically an admin with billing rights. And then there are admin. They can do anything inside the platform. And then members who are effectively just viewers. So they can see everything inside the platform, but they're not going to be able to upload new content, upload new sermons, or generate new content. So yeah, simply add their email and then set it to admin. If you want to set it to member, you can do that too. And click send invites, and it will send out an invite to everybody on there. If you want to upload from a CSV, you just have to basically set up the CSV following these instructions. Relatively simple to do, but if you've got 20, 30, 40 people, you can do that pretty easily and straightforward. So then once they have been invited, they will be down here in pending invites. So you'll see everybody that hasn't actually gone through and verified their account will live down here. And once they do verify their account, they'll be inside the members tab or the members section right up here. So that's how you do that. Again, highly recommend taking advantage of this. We have no intention of charging per the number of members you have available to work inside the platform. Having been a pastor, I always was frustrated with that pricing model because it's really not a value-based proposition. And so, we're trying to take our pricing and make it tied to what you can actually do and accomplish. And our goal is that you would have as many people participating in helping you generate content, deliver that content, and even check in on how that content is impacting people as you can. So staff, volunteer, doesn't matter. Get everybody on this thing that you possibly can.
That's it. That's awesome. Okay, so if you've got questions about that, I want you to hold back on that. Even on like best practices, what do you think we should do? Things like that. We'd love to talk about that. Remember, all of the people that run Church.tech, we're ministry first. Okay, so we think about the same thing you all think about. We just think about a different way to solve it. We want to help you guys figure that out. Josh, when we make all this content, right? So pages, and there's all these different things that we can do with children's ministry stuff and with small group material and 5-day devotionals. And it's really, really great. Everybody has that access to them. But I remember at one point in time, we were working with a larger church and they said, yeah, we would make all the stuff and then we'll copy it and we'll put it on our platform because we want to make sure that it doesn't look like it's coming from another company, another thing, like page.church.tech is the default URL that they'd see. And we were like, no, there's a way to fix that too. And so one of the things that we're just very aware of is that we are flying through this thing. Church.tech is a year old, and there's been things that have been added to it and added to it, added to it. One of those things is called domain masking. And our goal, because there's analytics baked into all the things that we do this way, we want you to keep those things on the platform for your sake. But we don't necessarily want everything to look like it's coming from us because it is interesting. So Josh, go ahead and talk a little bit about domain masking and just how to go ahead and set that up where they can make every page look like it's coming from your website.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the beautiful thing about it. It's not just that it looks like it's coming from your website. With domain masking, it actually is. And so we highly, highly, highly recommend that you take advantage of this, both because we're not trying to be the hero to your people. We want, we're not trying to co-opt your brand or force you to create content under our name or our label or anything like that. We want you to use your church's URL and, as Don said, right? Like we've created this not just to be a content generation platform that you then have to like copy paste into some other delivery mechanism. We've created a holistic system that is, and we're moving more and more and more in this direction of like, you can not only create content, generate content from that content, but then you can also deliver it to your people directly using the platform. And then, and this is where we're really leaning in, like, we want to help you be able to measure the impact of that content and the lives of your people in a way that will allow you to really like empirically see, oh, we're making disciples, or oh, we're falling short in this way. We need to work on this aspect of our discipleship process. And so I'm going to drop in the chat here right now. When you create, if you haven't changed your domain, I should say, when you create a page from within the platform, it's going to have the domain page.church.tech and then / some unique identifier, right? So just like this one that's in the chat right now, page.church.tech, you can text that out to your people and we can tell you how many people have looked at it, when they looked at it, all of that stuff, right? But it's still coming from church.tech, which is a little weird if you're sending it as a text message, or if you're putting it into an email and you don't want to create a button or a hyperlinked, click here, text inside of the email. So what we've done is we've added domain masking, and I'm going to jump in and share my screen. You can find domain masking you can find the place to set up domain masking in a couple different ways. It's not really actually in a couple different spots. You can find it in a couple different ways. So one is to come over to view analytics from within a page. So this is actually, I think Don uploaded a Bible study podcast, and then I've clicked on his 5-day devotional.
That's right.
Page that he created. So now I'm going to go to File, View Analytics, and then I can see how many people have viewed it. If they've added clickable links in there, I'd be able to see how many people have actually clicked on that. And then I can click on domains right here and go to the domain masking page. You can also access this by going to the content tab and clicking on the domains at the top of that page. Now, setting up your custom domain is, if you are the person who set up your website hosting, is going to be fairly straightforward and easy. If you're not the person that has access to that or set it up, you're going to want to find that person and have them help you with this. It's not hard, but it does require a little bit of working knowledge of domain settings. So we walk you through it a little bit here. When you click this button, it's going to say, hey, by adding a custom domain, you're going to be able to, display your content with your church's URL. You have to pick your subdomain. And what that means is, so like we have, page on here, but it could say just as easily, it could be blog dot, I'll just use my actual church's domain here, foundrybaltimore.com. And then, so you can do that. This first word can be whatever you want. And then the next one just needs to be your church's URL. So whatever that is. So if you wanted to do kids.foundrybaltimore.com, you could do that as well. Or whatever, right? Click add custom domain. And what this is going to do is it's going to generate what's called an A record. And this A record, everything you need to be able to set this up is right here. You're going to go to your DNS settings on your host, and we're going to put together some walkthroughs for the major domain hosting platforms so that you'll be able to see how to do this. In the meantime, if you need help doing this, we're happy to jump in. You just need to make sure that you have access to your actual hosting service so that we can actually, get together on a Zoom, and in 5 minutes you'll be up and running. It won't take long at all. But so you just have to make sure that you're able to actually do that. So you're going to copy this into your domain settings and click verify domain. Once you're done with that, you'll save it. And in fact, a lot of domain hosting services require you to actually click save on that side. So if it doesn't work the first time, it's probably because you didn't click save. That's the first thing to check. And then once you've got that, you'll have a custom domain set up. So page.church.tech, is the domain we use, but you can have your own set up. If you add one, like I just, you know, created the capability to actually use this domain within our demo account. But I don't have access to Foundry Baltimore, so we're not going to actually do this. Just click delete custom domain, and it'll go away. So that's how you do that. Yeah. Any
Okay.
questions? Sorry, I'm like trying to think through. Did I miss anything on that?
Again, if you've got questions, we're going to leave this open for you guys at the end to ask all kinds of questions. And so be writing those down now for then. But just keeping in mind, Josh, a couple of things. Once you set up the custom domain, can you make it the default where it goes to that? Yes. And therefore they only have
Yes.
to set this thing up one time, right? Um,
Yep.
because I know that one's a little bit more cumbersome than some of the other things that we walk you all through, but it's kind of like an onboarding thing. Once you get it ready to go, it's there, okay, and it's ready to go for you from there forward, and you can make it the default. So everything you send out is page.yourchurch.com or .org or whatever you want to do. As long as you've got those DNS records and access to it, you should be fine. Yes, I'm getting a lot of people that are asking me about are we recording this? We are recording this. So this is my shameless plug for our Facebook Insiders group. If you want to see any of the training days that we do, we post them same day on the Facebook group called Church.Tech Insiders. And so I will again go ahead right now and put that in the chat and make sure that everybody has access to that. If you're not a member, go ahead and click on that and just ask to permission to join the group. That's a really, really helpful resource for you. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is some best practices when it comes to sermon prep. This is really, really fun. And for those of y'all who are like, I don't preach, it can be lesson prep. It also can be for those of you guys who are in the comm world or different kind of subsequent worlds where you're waiting for sermons to be started and ready so that you can go ahead and do your work. We're going to talk about some best practices there. Then in order for me to do this for the viewers, for you all who have been here a lot of times, you're going to see this thing called the 9-day work week. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I do want you to see this. This document is also in the Facebook group if you want to get a hold of it so you can download that. But the 9-day work week is really important for us to talk about this. Let's share my screen. And there you go. Okay. This is a really important concept for us because this is how we frame out all of our tools like sermon-based tools and how we see a work week happening for the average church. Again, Josh, Sarah, and I, we've done ministry a lot, okay, for a lot of years. And so one of the things that people tend to get off in their mind is that they see work like church as a typical week. It's a Sunday through Friday. Hopefully you get Saturday off. We start all over again. We see church in 9 days. And the reason we see that is because of what happens in this area right here. We see church in 4 phases: the prep phase, the refine phase, the present phase, and then the recap phase. And the hard part is, of course, this is actually happening at the same time as this. But when you stretch it out, the hard thing for people to kind of get in their mind is while someone in the teaching world on this Monday is working on their next message or their next lesson, somebody in the discipleship world is using yesterday's message to create all their content from there going forward. They're taking and making small group guides. They're taking this and making a 5-day devotional. They're taking things like that and they're moving on with that. So they're starting in this recap phase. If you're in communications, you're not only communicating what's coming this next Sunday, but you're also using some clips and things from yesterday to highlight what's happening or what's going on at your church based off of what happened yesterday. So we kind of stretch that stuff out. And what, especially in the teaching world, a lot of people don't realize is they don't realize that we have really more tools for sermon crafting than we really even do after the sermon is presented. The Church.Tech is meant to be used from Monday all the way through the process, right? And so when you've got that first little bit, when you're kind of in this space and you're like, I know I've got an outline, maybe I don't even have an outline, I just know I want to talk about this, and here's my core scripture, and here's the general idea of what I want to do. You can upload that to the platform and use our tools in the playground and some tools in our ministry tools area to do some deeper dives into that topic and to help you think through how to take that message further and kind of give you maybe even more than you need in the way of content that you then have to go and refine down to kind of make it a little bit more, what people are going to want to hear. And then from that point forward, you can present it and then people can use that to recap. So what I want to talk about today really quickly are just, Josh, I want to talk about let's do like 3 of your favorite processes or like playground prompts or ministry tools that you're like, man, these are essential tools to helping people get further faster with their message crafting. Okay. What do you got? What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll tell you, my first one that is just really, really helpful to me is Don, can I share my screen actually?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, Sweet. There we
What's
go.
that?
All right. So I'm going to come back to this one and start. So one thing real quick in ministry tools that's pretty cool, and I don't think we've ever really even talked about it, but if you flag a ministry tool, if you click on it, it's going to show up in your saved. So all the ones that you really like and want to reuse over and over again, um, that's one of the really nice things you can do to create oh, here's all my ministry tools. This is going to get a lot easier in V2. We've got a lot of really cool functionality baked into being able to bring your favorite tools into a specific spot that you can go back to over and over. But I just wanted to point that out because it's a really nice it just makes it easier to find stuff quickly. But these 2 tools right here are, in my opinion, just really, really helpful. I was actually participating in a Bible study this morning, and that somebody was leading, and as they were leading through it, we were in Matthew 6, and it was talking about, don't practice your righteousness the way that the Pharisees practiced your righteousness. And I was like, man, you know what? I don't think I've ever, I wonder if that word righteousness actually is talking about being righteous, or if it's almost like a sarcastic way that word's being used. And so I jumped into the New Testament word study. I said, righteous, Tous, Matthew 6:1. And then I clicked generate. And so now that's going to create a page. I'm just going to show you the one that I made literally this morning with that exact thing. And it brought up righteousness, right? And it shows me, hey, here's the parsing, definitions, context of the biblical book, context of the author's work. I mean, this is a pretty helpful tool, really. And so, just from if you're sermon prepping, even if you're just studying, this is a quick way to get, a nice answer delivered in a way that's, easy to get to. And so, yeah, that's a really great tool that I would definitely recommend taking advantage of. Another one that's really excellent is if I go over to the preaching tools here, and this is one that takes a little bit longer, and I'm not going to actually go through this whole thing, but it pays off once you've done it, because you really only have to do this one time, unless your church demographics change. But the audience description creator is really nice, and I'll show you why in just a second. But you can come down through here and answer these questions. There's quite a lot of them. We're probably going to reduce these questions because there's quite a lot of them. But the more content you give us on this front, the better the description is going to be. And what you end up with out of this is a pretty robust description of your actual audience. And that helps for a host of different things. So let me jump into, where are we at? Trying to find the one that I had a second ago. Sorry, I look at the wrong one.
It's preaching, so
Shoot.
it belongs in a different one, Josh.
What are you looking for, man?
Or you can use the search bar at the very top.
Oh yeah, I could do that. Can't remember what we called it though, so I'm feeling a little bit lost. Okay, so let's see here. Historical and cultural background of the text. Is that what it is? No. I apologize, everybody. Um, there's a couple of them that actually have this baked into it, but you can also use this in your you can also use this in your uh, playground prompts to just copy it in and say, "Hey, I'm preaching to this audience. Help me think about the ways in which this applies to them." Here it is. Yeah. Okay. Identifying potential objection. Sorry, the Zoom bar. I have it at the bottom, and I normally have it at the top, and I just didn't see that one. Okay. So identifying potential objections. So you just put in your sermon. You can put in a manuscript or an outline. Drop in your audience and click generate, and it's going to give you, hey, here are the things that you're probably going to encounter that are going to be, some of the walls that you might need to get through to reach people's hearts. Right? Here are the objections that they might have. Right? So it's going to give you a nice long list. Might feel a little bit overwhelming, but the cool thing is we've got the handling potential objections, right? So you can come over here, do the same thing, drop in your sermon, drop in your audience description, and then drop in uh, your what you just created in that last one, and it will give you answers from a biblical perspective to those potential objections. And so this is just it's kind of a refinement tool um, that we will eventually bake into the sermon writing process that we're building out in Sermon Copilot. But for now, it really does work quite well and is really helpful. So that sort of three-part process there is really, really helpful. There's just some other really cool, like archaeological findings based on a specific text, like just really helpful, right? Like, thinking about how this one actually takes like the archaeological context into account and says, hey, here's some things that you might need to understand in order to preach this text well. Theological insights for a topic. This is going to give you a host of different perspectives on any topical sermon or series that you're doing. The other thing that we're working on is sermon series creation tools, as well as preaching calendar creation tools. So the more you can use these and give us feedback on them, the better these are going to get. We take the feedback on this very seriously, and we are grateful for any like, hey, could it do this? Or, hey, can we have a ministry tool that does this specific thing? We've got a bunch of those in progress already that we're working on refining in several different aspects. There's a couple that I'm almost done sort of vetting that we're going to get out to you here really soon that I think will be very, very helpful. Not just the one that I mentioned earlier, but also like a wedding and funeral ministry tool that will help you design both of those services and craft those messages and everything. So that I think will be very, very helpful. All right, I'm taking up too much time. We only have 10
No, that's
minutes
great,
left.
man. That's actually really helpful. Some of the other ones that are just really practical that I love are find a quote. How many times do you have a message where you're like, I just need to see if anybody really smart or famous said something that was related to this? That's in there too. And so you can give it some content and you can say, hey, find me a quote based on this. And it will just give you a bunch of quotes. Same thing with the illustration tool. We actually have an
Oh
illustration
yeah,
in ministry tools and in the playground. The one in ministry tools is actually
it's
quite a
way
bit
more
more.
robust.
Yeah, it's
Just so
way
you
more
know.
robust.
Yeah.
In the playground, we can say, give us something based off history, business, and sports. The one in ministry tools, man, it's going to ask you all kinds of contextual questions, even to the point of like, do you want this to be a fast illustration, like a quick story where you're like trying to get like a really like emphatic point to it, or are you looking for something that's a little longer? Like it'll actually find illustrations that fit both genres that way too. So lots of really helpful things there. And that's part of the, that prep phase where I'm like, I've got this idea. I just need some more like biblical knowledge on it. I need some more contextual knowledge on it. And I also just need some like ways to tell this story better. And what it will end up happening is you have too much content. Really, that's the goal, right? Because then we want to help you refine that content. So you're going to take that content, you're going to lay out like your rough draft, you're going to upload that to the platform. And then while you do that, we're going to then run it through some filters in the playground under our saved prompts or just some things that you've come up with. And those are super helpful. I mean, to refine it down, the logic and flow is another one that I feel like is essential. I've worked with some different people on that one where they've been like, man, this changed everything in my message and it was so much better afterwards. The big question of what's in your head, is that what's going to be in their ears, right? There's lots of questions when you're like, I know this is perfect. It sounds right in my head. And then you say it and someone's like, I just have no idea what you just said. That maybe that's just me. That my wife says it to me all the time. But if I had the logic and flow calculator, I could just put it in there and it can tell me what I should have said instead. So it'll take your message and it'll say, here's something really good that you did. Then it'll give you a bunch of things that you can change and make those ways that you can tweak this and make this better. And then it'll give you an encouragement at the end saying, hey, here's some again, here's what you did well. That's really helpful. The analyzer about insiders versus outsiders is incredibly helpful. And it's not just how do you say words in a cool way that will make somebody think that this for them. It's really, really practical things that'll bring up. If you're trying to reach an unchurched audience and you're assuming people know who biblical characters are, you're missing already. Every time we do something like that, we have a person in the audience who goes, this is obviously not for me because I don't know who that is, right? So it'll remind you, hey, if you're trying to do this, make sure you don't just assume that they know who Matthew is. Explain a little bit about that, and then it'll tell you how to do that without taking up much more time, right? So that's really helpful that way. Those are some essentials in that world. If for those of you guys who aren't writing messages and you're like, yeah, but what about me? What about me? I get it. If you're in the comm world, you can start working on day one when they start uploading pieces to this, that anything that you're going to try to do to invite somebody to the platform on day one, you can start bringing that up and saying, all right, what did they do? Write for me a social media plan based off of what they've uploaded for this week. And it'll help you with that content based stuff. There's obviously going to be some other things you're going to add into your social media plan, like different announcements and different things that aren't necessarily sermon related, but that will help you with that. But for those other ones that aren't sermon related, sometimes you just got to make an announcement. You've got to get somebody engaged. In ministry tools, there are a growing list of comm tools. Josh, just because you have it up, can you share your screen again and go to the communications tools in ministry tools?
Yeah, I was also going to say the find an illustration one is the other big one, that having an audience, like having your audience description really helps with that. It enhances the minute, that what the output is. Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. So in here, how many times is there something going on in kids ministry where you're like, I just don't know how to make that exciting when I've got to make an announcement on stage or an email or things like that. Well, we've got an announcement generator where you can talk about the event's name and the dates and who the audience is and why are you doing this. You fill out a bunch of information and then it will write for you a stage announcement. It'll write for you a social media post for Twitter, for Facebook, for Instagram. It'll even, I think we even have like TikTok in there. It'll write that for you. It'll do an email for you as well. I mean, all these different things that it'll set up for you. And this is the beginning of a much bigger approach to what we're going to do with church announcements, where it will actually, over time, will actually craft all your announcements for you. And it's just kind of a repository where you get to decide what gets what, and then it'll make your stage announcements all at one time. That's coming. But right now, it'll generate for you an event and all the things that you want to do to get people to be a part of that. So for communications people, that's great. One of my favorites that's hilarious because it's the one that everybody says, oh, I use that. I just didn't want anybody to know I use it, is for some reason in the church world, people can write some seriously nasty emails. It's like, wow, it's almost like I've actually had some people write. One time I got an email from like John Q Public at Yahoo because they didn't even want to know who wrote it for. So they literally made a new email address so it could be anonymous. And they can just be nasty. And sometimes you just run out of energy on how to respond to those kinds of emails. And so the email response generator is great because you can put the email in there. You can say, here's the tone I want. And it'll just answer your email for you. And then you can do the final filter and send it on. And honestly, sometimes that's just really helpful. So that's a big one as well. Okay. We took up a lot of time, but we talked about 4 essential things. We've got about 5 minutes left. Anybody who's got a question, you can either just unmute your mic and ask it, or I haven't been looking in the chat the whole time, but I can get to those too if anybody's got those as well. Any questions about anything we've talked about today?
So I guess my question might be a little bit outside, but I noticed that on the page where you have Church Tech, in yours, you do have like an unlimited upload and, like chats. I mean, creating clips, we're about 20. Is that something that's outside of the current offering? Because I thought, we got the one of the latest, but we don't have that much options.
So there's a standard plan and a pro plan. Clips are a part of the pro plan. So you may want to that might be what
Yeah,
you're
we're on
looking
the
at
we're
there.
on the pro plan actually, but
Okay,
I
and you're
think it
saying you don't
saves
have the
about
option, you
five.
don't have clips?
We do have clips, but I think I don't see it show that much availability for clips. I think it's kind of limited.
Okay,
So,
let's go ahead and set you up with the time because the beginning of this, we kind of walked through all of the new clips editor piece, and there's probably something missing there. So hang on toward the end, and we'll get you set up with a time for us to meet with myself or one of Sarah's team, and we'll walk you through that process.
okay.
Any other questions? We hit a lot of stuff today. Wow. Okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
Just one quick question. It's related, and just first of all, thank you for this. This was very informative. I'm excited about all the new stuff, and thank you for it. With the content that we upload in these various parts, the disclosure talks about Church.tech's ownership of that. Can you just talk about your ideas or ways you plan to use that in the future to train your AI or future content uses, please? Thank you.
Absolutely.
You mean the terms of service?
I think so.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're not using any personal information. We're not even using your sermons to train on it. Everything's siloed. None of your information is going anywhere. Anything you generate from within the platform is actually your IP, not ours, which is a fairly standard way of AI companies operate.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you for clearing that up because I read that different. I read that the opposite way. So I appreciate you clearing that up. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great question, man. Thanks for asking it.
Yeah,
Anybody
yep,
else?
totally.
We have 2 minutes left for us to keep on our schedule. Our promise to you all.
Question.
What's up, Lara?
So I think I've kind of asked this before, but we use the small groups generator tool as the most like our base tool that we're using right now. So we're uploading our sermon notes and then creating all of our small group content so we can provide booklets at the beginning of the series.
Awesome.
But we want to customize that content just a little bit more than what you guys have. We're trying to create our own template. I mean, some of the stuff is good, but there's like other sections we want to insert in there so that when we're doing 5 to 10 week series, we can, get those things built in. So I wanted to figure out how to really create that custom template with the AI because it fills it in. But then like the one section I added to a template, it won't generate any content for that section because I probably have to give it some rules or something.
Yeah, we are working on that piece. We've kind of rolled that feature out and then wasn't as complete as we really wanted it to be. And we were like, oh, we'll probably be able to fix this really quick. And then we had a couple other things. And sort of the nature of the tech startup world a little bit right now. But we could definitely work with you on that. I actually think Don, we need to do like a private gathering where anybody that wants to get a template can come and we can work through that with them of like, hey, here's how we're going to set this up.
Okay.
And probably
great.
maybe even have like a form or something that we send out. It's definitely something that we're moving toward.
Okay.
We're using AI. When you create a template, the issue is we're using AI to infer what content is there and then write a prompt for itself. And so it's never going to quite, well, I don't know that never is the right word. At this current stage, it's not going to do as good of a job as we can do on prompting it. And so that's sort of the issue that we have run into there is like that. We're probably not far from being able to have AI actually write a much more robust prompt, but and even giving you some capability to insert a prompt into it and to give more context. But yeah, sorry, I'm talking way too much about this. But yes, we will. Lara, let's get a meeting set up. Yeah.
Okay, I'll email you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Rick, that's a really good one to, he said, I would love to see a favorite marker on clips. Sometimes I edit multiple clips and then I forgot which ones I edited. That's a really good call. We'll see if we can figure something out there. I have found myself going, I don't know which one I just did also. So I've been where you are. I get that. Um, Anybody else? All right, y'all. It is 101 Eastern time, and hopefully this was helpful. Again, hit the Facebook group. We'll have this uploaded for you by the end of the day. This one might be one that you want to watch again, okay? Because especially with the clip side of life, you may want to go ahead and check that out. So we will see you in 2 weeks with another one. Go Mets. All right. Thanks so much. See ya.
Okay.
Thank you, team. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.